A very warm welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us tonight for the 9th edition of Evolve, a knowledge series for MSMEs by Axis Bank. ઉદ્યોગ એ જ યોગ, જ્ઞાન અને વ્યવસાયનું જોડાણ એ જ નફાનું ભંડાર. Conceptualized in 2014, Evolve focuses on burgeoning micro, small and medium enterprises and has successfully reached out to over 9,000 plus customers across 50 plus cities over last few years. As a knowledge partner, we equip MSMEs with new age strategies, case studies, operational know-how, and regulatory and governmental affairs, etc. that impact their business. Let's start the session. I would now like to invite Mr. Rakesh Budnagarwala, Executive Vice President and Head, Branch Banking West 2, to share his views with us.
Game show Gujarat. Maza mein? Very good. Yeah. So, this is an interesting time of the year. We are at the penultimate month closing, and it's so nice to see the backbone of Indian industry, the MSME business. And let me tell you, as we started with a very short clip on Neo for Business, what it means and what it entails. I'm sure many of you would be using and availing of the Neo for Business digital benefit. It's a digital endeavor of the bank to reach out to all its MSME client to enable them to be able to integrate with the supply chain management, to be able to do online payments, to do the vendor payments management in a better and efficient manner, and also do the utility payments and so on and so forth, and do online reconciliation. I think that has been the step that Neo for Business has, and we are proud of the fact that more than 20-25% of our clients are using the services. I will jump to my slides and a little bit about Axis Bank and a little bit about me. What I do for my bread and butter is this. I head the region which is Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. So how we have split India is we have two regions in West. One is Maharashtra and Goa, which is we call as a West 1. West 2, which I represent, is a region which entails Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh. And Gujarat, of course, is a fascinating city where we stand today. Of course, there are two regions in East, three regions in North. North has Jammu and Kashmir as well, Ladakh included. And we have two similar regions in South. So, while I have a few slides on economy, I think my colleagues can do a better job. But even before I come to the economy, I want to tell you a little bit about my branch network and my distribution network. We are 685 branches strong as far as Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh is concerned. How Gujarat economy has grown, if you were to look at those numbers in last 5 years, we all know those data are available. If you look at the data mapping of financial year 24 till financial year 2024, Gujarat and Tamil Nadu are the two states which are growing at an annual CAGR of 9.6% as far as GDP growth is concerned. Gujarat is the largest and fastest growing state in that terms. It's the fifth largest GDP. This state accounts for 18% of industrial output pan-India. If you look at some industries, and I have a few slides on that, Gujarat is growing phenomenally in terms of PCR, which is petrochemical related industry. It is dominating the space of bulk chemicals, textile, bullion. It's the only legitimate player in the country with 90% market share. And so on and so forth. In dyes and chemicals, again, more than 40% of the market share is with Gujarat. It has done phenomenally well in all manufacturing space. It offers to the industry a great ease of doing business platform. And over the period of time, it has really grown leaps and bounds as far as MSME, backbone of the country market is concerned. A little bit about India, a little bit about how Indian economy is trilling. If you see, first 60 years, it took us to go to a $1 trillion space. And of course, then it took us 7 years to move to a next trillion, and another 2 trillion we added in the next 7 years. By 2027, we are slated and slotted to become $5 trillion economy and upstage Germany and Japan and become third largest economy in the country. What it will do to us is the fact that as we become third largest economy, effectively from 4 trillion journey to a 5 trillion journey, we'll add at least 10 more Mumbai, maybe 20 more Ahmedabad, maybe 10 more Bangalore, so on and so forth. I think India time is very lucrative in days to come. Our growth rates are looking very, very promising. our stock market has a very diversified retail portfolio, and we are on for a long-term haul. But why Indian markets are looking lucrative? I think Indian markets have, over a period of time, offered one of the most stable and predictable reserves. Our long-term investments, whatever blue chip stocks and large, small and medium financing companies have offered over the period of time, is one of the most robust, across all developing and developed countries put together. We are offering last 5 years steady return of more than 15% CAGR, and that is why Indian investments find a lot of FIs and FDIs coming in, for over a period of long term. We offer steady state return, but coming and peeping into Axis Bank stock, Axis Bank story. We are third largest private sector bank, as pretty much known to you. How we have fared in December, NIM has become 3.97%. NPAs are very much in control. Our net NPA is less than 0.35%. Our PCR provision coverage ratio stands as stable as 76%. Our CASA growth and total deposit growth is very strong, steady at 11%. Our capital adequacy ratio is strong, comfortable at 18%. We have all the recipe when it comes to offer universal banking experience to our client. We offer everything under the sun to our customer. In terms of universal banking offering, we have our subsidiary Axis Finance, which is more than 55,000 crore of NBFC book, which is one of the largest. A-Trades, which is a platform which is jointly owned, it's a JV between Axis and MCX, multiple commodity exchange. It's one of its kind in any large bank which has it. And we are doing more than 25,000 crores of accepted bills, discounting there, particularly catering to MSME businesses. We also have 8 Axis subsidiary, which is what is that called? Which manages the admin activities and all that. Essentially, what we're trying to do is that wherever a company goes for a debt capital market or borrowing, we have a subsidiary which caters to all their capital market management, their book management, creating the securities and all of it. That admin escrow management is being done by that. We have Axis Capital, which is the largest investment banking arm, arguably the best ECM house, both on the IPO offers and follow-on offers. I have in previous role of mine, opportunity to work with the startup companies. This financial year, we have seen stocks of Swiggy and Ola's and others, which Axis participated in. Those matters were closed more than a year and a half back. We also have very large and interesting stocks going for an IPO. We did handle Paytm and a few very large companies like Nykaa and others. Zomato, we were the largest banker when it came to their FD placement and so on and so forth. Axis offers integrated experience to our clients, and our endeavor is that how do we grow at strength with our customer. Little bit about Gujarat State. I was talking to you about the fact that we are dominating this space in textile, chemicals, petrochemicals related industry, gems, jewelry, ceramics, and so on and so forth. But the interesting journey which Gujarat has now taken, if you have to come back to the ground, is a new industry growth. We have everything ranging from ceramic industries to copper smelting, which is invested by Adani Group, and there's many more which is coming there. Sanand is attracting a lot of investment. There are a lot of investment zones. Gift City, Gandhinagar continues to attract attention. Axis has a very strong presence in Gift City. Our total asset book is in the tune of $4 billion there. Our deposit book is more than $1 billion. And obviously we cater to a host of Indian companies going overseas, and we manage their trade finance book, their overseas loan opportunity, and so on and so forth. We also are in a position to be able to offer very attractive rate on the deposit side, and we are very competitive, and we have raised deposits from most of the large corporates, startups like Razorpay itself has deployed more than $50 million alone in terms of deposits. So it's a pretty diversified portfolio. When it comes back to Gujarat, other than petrochemicals, semiconductors, EV space is another space which is dominating Gujarat attention a lot. We are seeing a lot of investment coming up there, and we are seeing a lot of industries coming up there, and the entire ecosystem around the charging station to two-wheelers to four-wheelers, even commercial vehicles coming up in a big manner there. Adani is looking at coming at more facilities when it comes to copper smelting and a few others. There are many large
dominating large corporates, local corporates, promoters based out of Gujarat, which is also looking at very large, sizable investments on the copper side, on aluminum side, on various other industry, including petrochemicals, textile, chemical dyes, so on and so forth. IT space, which was dominated by South Indian economy, and back in West, Pune was the only credible investment destination. Now, two of the cities covered by me in MP, which is Indore and Surat in Gujarat, are attracting a lot of IT and ITS investment. We are in touch with CIs and various other players, and we see lots of investors' interest and lot of industry on SaaS side, which is your new economy space, on the startup side, and various other industry on the IT, ITS development, application development, Infosys and other companies also going long on it. Whole lot of your traditional players like IBM, Google, and all, they're also investing big here. Okay, Neo for Business we talked about, and why Neo for Business? It is a step in a concrete direction to be able to integrate all your payments and collection solution under one roof, to be able to make you plan better as far as your transaction, utility payments and others are concerned. It gives you a complete integrated platform. Axis endeavor has been to be able to give you one integrated payment solution, one integrated collection solution. We work on our infrastructure which is completely agnostic to different kind of payments. If, for example, you want to do NEFT, RTGS, or you want to do other IMPS and UPI related payments, all of that is integrated under one bedrock. In a similar fashion, in collection, you can do an easy pay collection, which is a collection from our branches, and we have 680 branches in the region I talked to you about. In Gujarat, we have more than 440 branches. There are another 8 to 10 branches we are adding, which hopefully in course of next month and a half will get rolled out. Next year, we have a plan to add another 30-35 branches as far as Gujarat is concerned. Pan-India, we are looking at adding 500 branches. So Axis at present has 5,850 branches. We hope to end the year with close to 6,000 branches and take this number to 6,500 branches next year. So Neo for Business is a very strong platform for MSME. Axis overall has a very strong presence on the MSME side, and we are very long on the MSME side. These are the core values, but before I come to that, I want to also share with you few of the strategic initiatives we are doing as far as bank is concerned. We are looking at how do we add value on your FX side, on your day-to-day payments collection side, and we have made an endeavor that one Axis approach is what we will go to as far as our clients are concerned. We are looking forward to offer an integrated supply chain management solution because we understand that MSME business standalone would need that entire ecosystem along with them should be lubricated. So when it comes to your vendors and suppliers, so we are not only be restricting our financing discussion to you alone, but if you come and tell us, these are my vendors and suppliers who have an access to a set of a banker at a particular rate, we are more than happy to look at and evaluate them and look for a financing solution. Look at for an evolved payments and collection solution like Neo for Business, which we just touch upon. I would like to give an example of one of the corporates in Rajkot, which is Balaji Wafers, a household name. How Axis made his inroads in this company is a very interesting journey, and hence I will take just a minute of yours to talk to you about. We started with the difficult part of historically 3 years back we used to have a cashback facility with them, and which they exited. But when we were trying to make a advent again, and this is almost a year back, when I first met the promoters, they talked to me about their problem statement, which is supply chain financing, which is a L2 dealer financing. And they said while they've been in touch with many bankers, they've not been able to get a right solution. We came in here, we evaluated their L1 dealers, which are 80 numbers, which is spread over Gujarat primarily. And then we came to L2, which was close to 1,000 plus transporters, logistic partners, stockists, warehouse holders, so on and so forth. And we offered them a solution which is 25 crores of financing on the L2 side. It took us a while to be able to switch the solution. But what it did is that it gave the power of enhanced working capital, which otherwise was not accessible to the dealer distributor, and the sales turnover jumped up. We are now looking at increasing that number in a big manner. Obviously, it also gave us an inroad into the company wallet and direct financing, and we now are the largest bankers for them. But the reason why I'm talking about the solution is that Axis has an approach to be able to act like your business partner, your extended business partner as your relevant stakeholder, and see to it that we help you, partner with you to be your business enabler. And this in one side of the paradigm involves your efficient and integrated solution on payments, collections, forex services, your employee payroll related solution, so on and so forth. On the second side, how do we do a complete ecosystem solution on your payments, collections, on your suppliers, on your vendors, on your dealers, distributors, so on and so forth. So please use Access in a comprehensive manner. I wish you a great day today, and it's heartening to see a full house and heartening to see that around more than 100 plus customer, as Ranjit tells me, are here, and Sameer, who's my SEG, Small Economic Group and Mid Economic Group, and backbone of the region MSME business. So wishing you a great evening, and we look forward to interact with you as the day progress from here. Thank you so much. Have a great evening. Thank you.
I would now like to invite Mr. Rajendra Jaikumar, Head Deposits and Liabilities, Axis Bank. Rajendra has over 24 years of banking experience across cards, payment, retail assets, and MSME lending. In his current role, he heads the deposits and liabilities at Axis Bank.
Good evening, everyone. Speaking after a very good speaker like Rakesh makes life easy, where he has taken through a lot of things that we wanted to share with you. Before we go into the slides, let me just throw some statistics. At Axis, when I look at the current account, which is predominantly the MSME, the core product, the percentage of customers having more than 10 years with vintage with Axis Bank is about 50%. When I was walking into this room, I had the privilege of meeting Kaushik ji, who was banking with us from 2001, which is about 24 years. Today, having a One Axis app, which is most acclaimed and has the highest number of downloads and very well rated on the Play Store, the journey has been phenomenal. And in this journey, what stayed with us or what struck to me is, the reason is the connect with the customer. At Axis, in all our sales calls, in all our meetings, in all our discussions, everything starts with how the meetings are going, what is happening in the meeting, what is transpiring over there, and how we are processing it and creating strategies basis what we hear from the customer. This is a part of our culture, and this continues to be the reason why we are able to be there, partner with you, and be a part of your progress. Evolve is one such wonderful platform which has been created over 10 years now. It's about a decade now, where we had hundreds of meetings at various places, meeting all the prestigious customers, all those customers who have been with us, talking to them, keeping them updated about what's happening in the industry, and listening from them on what we can do to present a better version of ourselves to them. So I thank all these customers who gave us the feedback and who have been pillars of improvement, and thanks to each one of you in this hall who are helping us evolve. Moving on. This is a small snapshot of the MSME industry. The industry is going at a 15% CAGR from a lending perspective, about 28 lakh crores of lending done by various banks, whether it is public sector or private sector banks. Axis has a share of about 9%. Udyam registered. Udyam has actually helped a lot of democratization of data, formalization of credit, about 6 million users on Udyam, and still taking away every minute with more and more joining this MSME pool. Vibrant Gujarat. I don't need to detail what is happening in Gujarat to the people who are making it happen. Gujarat happens to be the fourth largest ranking economy with 27-28 lakh crores of GDP. MSME industry is flourishing over here. Mr. Rakesh has mentioned about some clusters of chemical, textile, pharmaceutical, which are evolving, and those particular clusters, micro markets, which are coming up in a much better manner. So Gujarat continues to be an inspiring story from a banker, from a consumer, from an Indian perspective, how the economy is shaping up, and we look forward for Gujarat to be a guiding force in the years to come. At Axis, when we are dealing with MSME, there are 3-4 principles which have been completely guiding. The first of the principle is bringing the force of One Axis to the customer. We have various departments, various solutions, various teams working on the lending side, on the payment side, on the account side, on the deposit side, on the technology side. The idea is we present the bank to the customer so that we are actually a partner in their progress and not just a banker on the outer side. So this is about One Axis franchisee. Rakesh has touch base this. This is how the lending book has grown over the years. As I mentioned earlier, about 23 lakh crores is the book outstanding, the loans given to the MSME sector across micro, small and medium. And as mentioned earlier, Axis share is increasing continuously year on year, and we make two strong inputs. How we are doing this? As I said, having our grounds, having our ears closer to the ground, having constant touch with the customer has helped. Okay, whenever there is an industry event, when there is a development in the industry, we were there to partner. For example, when GST was introduced, when GST was picking up and it has become one source of truth for everyone, we were one among the first banks to introduce a GST-based lending, and even today we have lending up to 5 crores. When the data democratization has happened, we were the first one to introduce a digital journey using the existing data like banking and Perfios, and do a complete paperless loans. And in the area of business loans, even today as we speak, we are the market leaders doing about 1,100 crores of disbursement, completely paperless in a few seconds, month on month. Similarly, when deeper geographies, when we saw the India story coming up, where Bharat story coming up, when the Type 2, Type 3, Type 4 locations started showing growth, we worked upon how do we capture, how do we be there, how do we overcome the challenges of geography, and we have built some technologies which I'll explain, which helped us beat this. And today, Bharat for us is a very, very fastest growing franchisee, doing a lot of great work around partnering with the customers. Similarly, government schemes, when central government has introduced CGT MSE, we were awarded the second fastest partner in the CGT MSE with a growing book of 10,000 crore plus and adding as we speak. We had introduced the projects in CGT MSE which brought us much faster growth both on the lending book as well as the customer counts. We have 1 million customers with whom we partner for lending and liability solutions. And all this happened because we were there when the progress is happening and we were a part of it, and we took your feedback, they'll say. Moving on, MSME for us is an ecosystem. We don't look at MSME as one customer, one current account or one loan or one lending. Each MSME is an ecosystem in themselves. You are an employer to thousands and lakhs of millions of people. You are a customer to some other chain in the the business cycle. You yourself is a manufacturer starting a cycle, then you as a promoter having various connections and various requirements in your individual capacity. So each MSME, small or big, is an ecosystem, and one of the guiding principles at Axis is how do we partner with each MSME and be present at every life cycle, every stage of the life cycle, whether it is a startup, whether it is a very budding organization, whether it is a micro organization, whether it is small, medium, large, and the conglomerates. So starting from the first step, the baby step MSME takes to the evolution and the growth, we have products to partner with, we have solutions to partner with, and we are constantly evolving. So when I was talking about Bharat story, we mentioned about how our digitization philosophy is. Customer staying somewhere in Coimbatore, customer in Punjab, customer in Gujarat. We have built our platforms in a way that they are interoperable, they are on the fly, and they are integrated workflows, right from customer, transaction, the banking, the processing units, the CIBIL, bureau, the GST, Perfios, vendors, the financial verifications, all that stuff that needs to be done, underwriting and ops, everything on one flow. So this has actually helped us create flows which are agnostic to the location, which are agnostic to the region, and ensures faster credit access and delivery to the customers. So one of the key thought process that went in working on the Bharat story is building technologies which are agnostic to geography. And today in our unsecured loans we have 100% either phygital or digital, and we have moved away from a physical listing. In working capital we are in the process of introduction. We have various products which are completely paperless, small loans, and we intend to take that franchisee to the larger loans. Finally, as a promoter, as I said, as an ecosystem, okay, for you managing your businesses, we have products, we have processes, we are working on digitalization. You as a promoter brings the actual wealth and value to the table. So being partner in your wealth management, providing customized solutions, providing premium services, access to premium consultancy services. We have our wealth management and Burgundy private teams who are extremely equipped to handle various requirements of the individual promoters and their wealth management. So we invite you to be a part of this journey. We invite you to continue to give us feedback, continue to partner in these evolve sessions as well as all other forums that we have. Rest assured, we have a full-fledged team called Spurs Project, which is only focused on taking the customer feedback, listening to what you say, process, and then do a complete improvisation and set up customer service stats and customer service promises. So with this, I would like to conclude this presentation with an assurance that we are dil se open, har raah dil se open, that we are open to hear your feedback. As we grow, it's very, very important that we be there in your progress. And we are happy to be a partner in your progress, listen to you and evolve along with you. Thank you so much once again for being here. Thanks for the patient hearing, and we look forward to have more engaging conversations. Thank you so much.
I would now like to invite Mr. Nikhil Lodha, Senior Vice President to Treasury Market Sales, Axis Bank, to share his views on global market outlook. Nikhil currently co-heads Treasury and Market Sales for wholesale bank customers. He has extensive experience in treasury and markets of well over 20 years.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us at the 9th edition of Evolve. As the tagline for the event says, Future Proofing our MSMEs, I'm privileged to talk to you today about part of the Axis Bank business whose whole purpose is to look into the future every day, to peer into the crystal ball and to forecast which way markets are going to go. I'm going to walk you through some of these changes and trends that are going to happen, especially focusing on a little bit of currency and interest rate. Now, hopefully that will add some value to your business. Now, before we go into some of the specific slides later on, let me just start off with a backdrop to where we are. Okay. Now, as we start 2025, it's very safe to say that at a global level, the big macroeconomic problems that were there all the way from 2010, they have continued to linger on. Most of the large economies, especially in the developed world, continue to face very high debt levels, especially on a debt to GDP basis. Some of the other things that continue to bother the world is that inflation hasn't really yet cooled off to a level that central banks world over are comfortable with. So, for example, US is comfortable with a 2%. 2% is something that we haven't seen in the US for a very, very long while. And when they say 2%, they mean an average rate of 2%. So, at some point, that inflation has to go lower than 2 as well. Similarly, in India, we are mostly above 4, and that's something that's a bother for a lot of policy decisions. So that's something that will come up. Technology, obviously, it continues to be a very important function in businesses. And when China released its own version of AI, DeepSeek, the bang was felt on NASDAQ as well, because DeepSeek was built at a fraction of the cost of what US was doing. Now, why are all of these things, and I've got many more of them out here, why are all of these important? Because all of these things are going to have they're all interconnected, first of all. And the way the dollar moves, the way globally interest rates move, the way inflation moves, interest rates move, all of this is interconnected. You solve for one of these and you pick up the thread that connects all of them together. Right? I'm sure this photograph of Donald Trump is something that you will be seeing a lot, probably on a daily basis as he keeps on making a lot of announcements and changes. But before we go and take a look at what's happening in US right now, perhaps we can take a quick look at history. It's extremely important, and perhaps it's less with economics and more about history. Post World War II, a deal between the oil producing regions in Middle East and US happened, and that's when US dollar actually became the global reserve currency in the world. That set into effect a chain of events, which was that as these oil producers sold their product, which was built in US dollars. They had a lot of US dollars and they had to obviously deploy those dollars somewhere. Their own local economies were not big enough to deal with those dollars. So naturally, the dollars went back into the US, and thus started a circle of US dollar becoming, the biggest elephant in the room that we know of today. Over a period of time, as Asian economies, Japan in 1980s and China from late 1990 onwards, started to get into the export game, the accumulation of dollars at their end and then redeployment back into the US became an even bigger thing. Now, naturally, when you look at it, this cycle is just too simplistic, but over time, it started getting bigger and a little bit more complex. The fact that these dollars were getting recycled back into the US was excellent for US markets. There was a steady state, in fact, even a price insensitive buyer for US debt. So as long as the Asian central banks were there to recycle their dollars back into US treasuries, that was excellent for the US. It was also excellent for some of the money that ended up going into US equity markets. And this was going along fine. In fact, the US used their currency to not just act like a currency as a medium of value, but also as a weapon. Okay, there was a lot of some of the countries which were at loggerheads with the US, the likes of Venezuela, Iran, etc. They faced the brunt when they were cut off from the global payment systems and they couldn't access dollars. But somewhere, all of this changed. And that moment was when Russia-Ukraine war happened and US put sanctions on Russia. The world still needed the oil that Russia provided. And because of those sanctions, the world went on to discover that it was possible to pay for the very same commodity which gave birth to the US dollar as a global reserve currency. It was possible to pay for it in another currency. So suddenly you had people paying for Russian oil in Chinese yuan, you had people paying for it in dirhams, you had people paying for it in so many other currencies that you can think of, but primarily it was yuan and dirhams. But that triggered off a chain of events where people realized that it was possible in some ways to survive without the US dollar. Now, that bit of history apart, what that led to changes in the US itself is that as they kept on following this cycle, obviously all their manufacturing jobs kept on going out of the US and going to China and other countries. What that left with US was to focus upon two things that they became very good at: finance, whether it was the hedge fund industry, the private equity industry, or banking itself, or capital markets, or on the other side of the US, technology. Right? So, this cycle that kept on repeating, which was as the focus on offshoring manufacturing kept on happening, the banking finance industry and the technology industry continued to boom. And this boom was largely concentrated on the top few percentage of the population. And therefore, that's the backdrop with which Trump has now come in. And that's why so many of his changes which he's bringing about are quite popular. Now, Musk, of course, gets a lot of sound bites, and you would think that he's on a mission to basically clean up the US splurging in the excesses. But reality is that his prime job is to ensure that US fiscal deficit comes down. And that's the biggest challenge that the US government is facing right now, that they are not able to issue longer term debt. Most of the debt issuance is in the sub 1 year segment. And the size of the economy that they are, the size of the debt issuance that they need to do, that's a big problem for them. Anybody who heads the US Federal Reserve is God, but since Trump has come in over the last 5 weeks, we've forgotten about him, okay, because it's all about Trump. quick thing about US here and what the Federal Reserve Board is doing. You see that chart on the right-hand side, on the upper right-hand side. What that shows you is that what are the kind of rate cuts that are priced into the US. Somewhere in September, basically US rate cuts were priced in all the way going down to about 3%. As of now, they are almost at 3.8%, going into December 25. That is roughly two cuts are still priced in by markets, but that's over a very long period of time, so you got to take it with a pinch of salt. Europe, they got hit by a very heavy vehicle. Germany, which is the center of Europe, as you all of course know, for them manufacturing was a big thing. And unlike China, where the USP is cheap labor, the USP for Germany was cheap energy, which was coming out of Russia. They had access to Russian gas. Now, of course, in the recent past, access to that Russian gas, cheap Russian gas, is cut off, and the German economy is in quite a bit of pain. And as you can see, that pain is reflected, as you can see in the top left-hand chart, top right-hand chart. Euro dollar has come down significantly, and even the Eurozone inflation outlook is now slowly turning upwards after coming down quite a bit because their energy costs are going up, their inflation is coming up again. China, it's impossible to not think of China when you think of global markets, and I dare say in the last 12 months they have negotiated their way around probably one of the biggest real estate busts that we have seen on a global basis. And it's amazing that the Chinese system, especially the banking system, has managed not to implode. They continue to grapple with deflation, while the rest of the world is worried about inflation. They have deflation for themselves in the last 2 years. As a result, 10-year money in China is less than 2% right now. A very quick look at, it's not all doom and gloom. The chart that you see on the upper right-hand side, it talks about the GDP projection, GDP growth, and the blue line is US. The big machine in the US is running along just fine at a little bit over 2%. That's very close to their optimum rate of growth. So the big engines of growth in the world are all running fine. We don't have a problem at all. And recession probabilities, which about a year back were about 40-odd%, have shrunk considerably down to 20%. So we're very much in the same zone. India, you guys definitely know the story in India, but I'll just tell you about what's the most critical part. The critical part that this government and RBI has managed is our fiscal deficit. Okay, one of the biggest bugbears of the Indian economy was that the amount of debt that it used to need to raise was a big problem. Now, that is something that this government has got under control. And that's a big positive. Our chances for a sovereign rating upgrade are significantly getting better. You can see the effect of the lower fiscal deficit. In simple speak, that just means that the government needs to issue debt which is not as much as the market feared. It's a lesser bit of supply that doesn't crowd out private borrowing needs. The 10-year government bond yield has come down significantly, and that's the great news for markets. I'm just going to skip over infra projects. India is doing great in digital and in infra. Quick word on RBI policy. Now, this is very important. We had a change in leadership at RBI, and post Mr. Malhotra taking on the mantle of the governor, he has made a few very important changes. His focus has gone completely on liquidity. A lot of liquidity has been infused in market, and he continues to take measures which make it easier for lending to happen at a bank level, also at an NBFC level. So that's great for people who need to borrow and spend on their business. I'm just going to quickly move on to the key takeaways. I'm just running out of the time allotted to me. What are our forecasts for the coming year? As far as rupee is concerned, or let me say, as far as dollar is concerned, I think US dollar has significant risks to the downside. Why? Because US dollar needs to come down significantly for Trump to put into effect all the reshoring that he's attempting to do. If all the manufacturing or even a fraction of that manufacturing needs to come back to the US dollar needs to be substantially lower. Easier said than done, but it's happened in the past. 1985 Plaza Accord happened, US dollar came down substantially. It's something that is, in our view, a meaningful probability for markets to happen. So don't take it for a given that rupee is going to go over 90 for sure. It's not necessary at all. In fact, the volatility is there in market, which is increasing a lot. Under the prior governor, dollar rupee was practically a straight line for 2 years. No longer the case now. It's a two-way volatility. We think that there is a considerable scope for higher inflation and higher rates. I would dare say that in the next 5 years, we'll probably see more inflation than we've seen in the last 5. And that is something that we are quite concerned about, because frankly, a lot of expenditure from every government is happening all over the world. I'll leave you all with the thought that as all of these things are happening and global financial order is undergoing so much of change, volatility is definitely going to rise. Please take a look at all your exposures. Happy to speak with you guys on this. My colleague Dhaval Parekh is here based out of Ahmedabad. I work out of Mumbai, but happy to get on a call and discuss whatever needs to be done for your businesses. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nikhil, for that extremely insightful presentation. नानी नानी मीठी बात व्यवसाय ने आपे नमो घाट. Successful businesses are not built overnight. There is a lot of thought and learning that goes behind fine-tuning and perfecting every step. We understand that. That is why today we have Mr. Priyavraj Sharma moderating this highly engaging panel discussion on future proofing MSMEs for the new age with our guest panelists.
Thank you very much for joining, and thank you, gentlemen. Thanks for coming here. I'll start with you, Mr. Karan Chandani. I think your journey has been inspirational in the sense that you joined your family business in '99, which traditionally started, I think, in 1960, and then you joined in '99, diversified into something which was not thought of in those times, and in a very short span. What's amazing is from the first year turnover of 50 crores, which we saw in the AV, taking it to 1,000 crores. So please take us through your inspirational journey.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. So yes, I started my entrepreneurial journey in '99 by joining the traditional family business, which was into trading of potato, and I have been part of that family business for around 11 years. But within 5 to 6 years, I realized that there were a lot of limitations in the business, especially scaling up. And there were also a lot of challenges in this, I would say, sector, which is to do with supply chain of agri-produce. So a lot of challenges faced by farmers I have seen during those days. And, then I started actually looking for, because see, traditional businesses will have limitations. So that's where I started looking for newer opportunities, basically opportunities which are to do with the new age business types, which is where I found frozen food as, kind of a solution to the challenges of the farmers, and also, curating products which are in form of convenience to our consumers. So as a solution to both these problems, I really, saw frozen food, and especially looking at what was happening in the Western world. So we ventured into potato processing, from trading of potato to manufacturing of frozen potato products. It was a very bold step, I would say a big step for us at that point in time. So 2010 is when I conceptualized Hyphen, and it took me 4 to 5 years to plan things. I tried to do a deep study, deep understanding of this business, and also at the same time planning for the seed potato, which is again a 5-year cycle. And we started our journey, commercial operations in end of 2015. And yes, as rightly mentioned, the first full year of operations we did a sales of 50 crores, and in the 7th year we crossed 1,000 crores. So that's how our journey has been in terms of being able to scale up quickly, and that has been primarily due to the deep understanding I tried to gather during those 5 years of conceptualization.
Thank you very much. Coming to you, Mr. Pillai. So you did your engineering from Bangalore University, if I saw on the AV, and then now as a second generation entrepreneur, you have joined your family business of PIGL. So please take us through your journey till now. What was the vision behind PIGL, and how has been the journey till now?
So basically, the company was started by my father way back in 1975. I mean, we migrated from Kerala to come to Gujarat in 1968. He worked here for about 5-6 years, and then he saw the need of the hour. He thought that, I mean, like, there's not many contractors available, and the electrical solutions. So he decided that let me start this company. So the journey started in 1975, and unluckily, at a very young age, when I was just about 19 years old, I lost him in the year 1996 when I was in my second year college. And that's when, the responsibility of the family business came up. But it was a wonderful opportunity because you still had a stepping stone. I mean, took it in the stride, joined the business, did my college together, completed it. And then the journey started, and I saw the whole system evolving, way back in the early 90s. The late 90s, what we saw was the telecom revolution coming in. Early 2000 was completely for telecom, so we were a part of that. Then we saw the infrastructure space growing slowly, became part of that journey. Then came a time when, we saw all the innovation coming in, and we saw a lot of things that was happening in the sector, which was distribution transmission, which we never touched before. So in 2014, I think we took this step about a decade back. Till then, we were doing mostly airports or the industry or something like that. So this step catapulted us from just being in that segment where, it used to take us a large time to complete a project. But this was we were doing the infra job. So 2014 to 2024, we've almost seen in the last 1 decade the company rising from about 30 crores of revenue to, almost about 150, 170 crores of revenue. So this journey actually changed the whole outlook of the company. And today, our vision is that because we've not restricted ourselves that we're not going to do the jobs we used to do earlier, we're also going to continue doing that also. As on date, if I tell you, it's an amazing part that we've done about 34 airports. Which I don't think there is anybody in the sector who would have done it. So it's been a beautiful journey. We've seen a lot of changes that's happening. And I think the sector, that you talk about, infra space, is right now live. And it's there's so much of thrust, there's so much of things that is happening. We want to be a part of this. And I think as I walk through it, I see the journey, but destination, I think, would be just another turn, another new journey. I don't see it stopping. So I don't think there's any destination. Journey has been wonderful till date.
I see a lot of pride in you when you talk about it, and especially when you're part of the success story of India. So obviously there's a lot of pride in it. Thank you for that. Mr. Sanghvi, coming to you, you have a diversified portfolio, and you being the second generation. So I split question into 2 parts, and I would love if you can answer both. One is obviously your journey till now, especially keeping in mind the diversified portfolio you have. And secondly, being a second generation, obviously there will be a third generation which will step in. So how do you see this generational transition, especially in your business?
Right. So Rajaratna as a group is a family-owned company, and we are cousins and uncles running these companies. And we started in 1990, and today in 2025 we are a 2,500 crore company, employing 2,500 people, and we are into manufacturing of stainless steel wires, stainless steel rebars, stainless steel fasteners, stainless steel pipes, solar modules, stainless steel welding consumables, and aluminum extrusions. So, and also the IT services. So we have quite a diversified portfolio. And reason for that, typically Marwadi family, when बहुत सारे बच्चे होते हैं फैमिली में, तो सबके लिए unemployment नहीं हुआ, employment चाहिए. That's why we started going horizontally and vertically. So there are some products which are downstream and some products which are on the diversified portfolio. That's how we landed up in having so many verticals in our family business. But everything, by God's grace, everything is running fine. And we had been also over a period of time, market has forced us to go also overseas. So we set up a manufacturing facility in Batam, which is in Indonesia, before 10 years. And we also saw the customer service going to give us a good value additions. That's why we had two subsidiaries. One is in Europe for the European market, and one is in the US for the US market, which are the two prominent, predominant market for us. And as a group, we are doing 50% exports and 50% domestic market. And we see huge potential in domestic market. And I'm seeing the shift of when somebody like the bankers or the consultants come and ask us, people talk more of how much is a domestic sales and not ask about the export sales. Thanks to Mr. Trump, and I think there will be a lot of policy changes in the exports.
I agree with you absolutely, and I think there will be a mindset shift within the banking industry also.
True. And answering to your second question, the generation shift, I think I will not call me as a second generation. We are like 1.5 generation because we still have the first generation working age, second generation is still working, and the next generation is already coming up in the business. So we have to still diversify because we see a lot of other people coming in. The best part is we are still united together as on date as we speak. And yeah, the transition is always tough because the mindsets change, and we can see in the last 10-15 years how the things have changed. And it's not very easy to convince the grey hair which are successful people, but we still keep on trying and hammering. And I think it will be the same course when the third generation talking to the second one. It's very difficult to convince the people who are successful. So I think, but I think it's because if you see the true spirit of a group or a family, everybody is looking for the growth and status in the company and in the family. So that makes you united and also drives us to get third, fourth, and fifth generations.
I think that's the unique feature of Gujarat as well.
That's right.
The united family that we have, and it really helps in businesses as well, in reflection your business as well. So coming to you, sir. So taking forward what Mr. Sangvi said, you represent an industry which at times gets stressed by crop failure, farmer society. We see so many challenges, in the agri sector. And being a third generation, right? So third generation entrepreneur, what made you, inspired you to take up these challenges and work on them? So that's something which we would love to hear from you.
So as we all know, there are a lot of challenges in the agri sector, especially because of weather conditions sometimes, and accordingly less production, crop failures, and so on and so forth. And also the main factor is also the market access. I mean, the farmers are able to get access to market, but they are not able to get the right price for their produce many a times. And it is because as a country we are producing a lot of agri products. Especially, I would like to talk about the sector which we belong to, fruits and vegetables. We are, in a lot of fruits and vegetables, either number 1 or number 2 globally in terms of production. Like, for example, potato, we are second largest. But the fact is that we do not export that much. Whatever we produce, we tend to consume, and which is where any year where there is even a 5% increase in production, it results into a glut situation. Prices fall down dramatically. And even if there is only a 5% decrease in production, it ends up, in very high prices where consumers, are not very happy in paying such high prices. So huge fluctuation. And the reason behind this is mainly because there is lack of storage and processing infrastructure. If you look at the Western world, around 60 to 70% of fresh produce is processed. But in India, it is hardly in the range of 5 to 7%. But I would like to mention here, Government of India has been taking very proactive steps in encouraging this industry, and which I believe the target is in the next 10 years to make it reach around 20%. And this is where we play a role by procuring the fresh produce and then transforming into these kind of global products. Like I'd like to mention the main products of our brand are frozen French fries, hash brown. These are globally popular products. So with the fresh produce of India, we are able to transform these into the potatoes into globally popular products. And I take pride in sharing that we are able to, today establish ourselves in more than 40 countries, and especially I take pride in sharing that we have been the pioneers when it comes to exports. These products were earlier being imported, and which imports started declining based on local production. But then our brand is the first real brand to explore export opportunities, and we take pride in saying this, that now India is exporting to more than 40 countries.
That calls for a round of applause. Thank you, Amish. And coming to you, Mr. Pillai. So similar to what Mr. Karamchandani talked about, what were the challenges you faced and how did you really address those challenges? And adding to that, I think when we saw the AV, one very interesting aspect of your business is your decision to list. I think that's the one. So I think a lot of businessmen here would be really wanting to know what really made you go for that.
So I'll answer the first question. So if you're talking about the difficulties that an entrepreneur and specifically in the MSME space face, I think there are two key components. One is, one I will speak first because the second one I want to keep it later. The first one is, actually the retention of the manpower that you've got. And specifically in our infra space where engineering is so important, when you get somebody, you train them, you make them into something and then they tend to leave you for the reason of better prospects or anything. That's very hurting. So, this particularly I think would be one of the key components which I think all the MSME must be facing, because there's a lot of poaching that happens from the larger MNCs, You train them and the MNCs pick them up because they get the trained staff. So that's one of the challenges we always face. So I think how we resolved it, let me be honest, is that in the last couple of years, what we started doing is that when we picked up the manpower or when we picked up people onto the levels where you want them to stay back with you, you make them your partners. You don't let them remain as your employees. You give them ESOPs, you make them a part of your whole growth story. That was one of the key ways that we actually maintained. So when you ask me, in my personal 29 years of career, I have almost retained 96% of the stuff. So all that's left me is about 4%, which I think is much beyond this thing. And the second part, I think, which is very critical, which everybody would agree to, is that the lack of finance. Because when you grow, and the growth potential, and when you are growing substantially, there's a lot of capital that is required. So for me, this was the part where I think about 17 years back, Axis joined me hands. And in the last 17 years, they've been right as a backbone in the good, the bad and everything. And trust me, the team that has always been there, they're all right in front of me. And it has been wonderful. For me, my banker is a partner. Maintain transparency with them and I think they'll stand with you throughout. So, these two things that we critically face and, we've resolved that to a certain extent. Coming back to your question about getting the listing part. So, when the MSME exchange started, I think we were among the first 50 to get listed. So it was like, I think every single entrepreneur or every single industrialist, small, big, whenever you look at, the boardings of a Reliance or Adani or anybody, you always look at them and you say, yeah, I aspire to be one of them. Point number two is that, people talk about stocks, people talk about those companies. You've been there for last, for me, I got myself listed in 2018. So, we were already, for 40 years in business. But, our clients knew us, the world didn't know us. The very few people, my bankers knew me. But there were very few people who were aware of a company like us. So, I always wanted, that's something, where, we get a lot of, people know us and stuff like that. So, when the MSME platform came up, I was curious actually to understand what to do and how to do it. Whether, we'll be able to suffix the purposes. We'll be able to keep up with the compliances. So we all sat down and my core group, we all decided that, okay, let's give it a try. And I remember when we started with the compliances part, as we always used to think that, no, my returns are filed on time, my income tax is on file, my litigations are on time, my everything is on time. We realized, no, there's this pending, which we've never seen. It's all under the carpet. And all of a sudden, that thing came up to us, we started doing it, we hired people, we had the right people, and then that thing started. And when we finally got our MSME listing done, you know, it was beautiful to know that we were new people again. I mean, it was almost fresh. We had all our papers in order, compliance in order, we were answerable to people, and it was beautiful. And then the beauty happened 5 years down the line. I mean, we migrated to the main board, both NSE and BSE, and then we got the traction. We came to know the people. There were investors lining up. We had people, you know, supporting our dreams now. You know, everybody looked at us with a different vision. I mean, so it's been a beautiful journey, and I think sharing of your equity with people is wonderful. I mean, they should be a part of your journey. I mean, as I say, journey. I mean, because destination, again, I would repeat, you know, it's just a new journey. So, you know, it's absolutely fantastic, and I think every person in this room should think about it. Because in this growing economy, where we are talking about 3 trillion to 5 trillion and 10 trillion, I think we can just be a part of it. And I think from MSME to mid cap or large cap, the journey is going to be easy. It's not going to be very difficult. So I think everyone in this room needs to share its equity and needs to grow.
I think what you mentioned is important that listing is just not about getting investors' money. It also brings a lot of responsibility. You have to be compliant. You have to be answerable, accountable to your investors and to your shareholders.
You know, the kind of questions that I get, I mean, balled at, I mean, you won't believe it. I mean, people would ask you to that extent. I mean, they go through your balance sheet to that finite extent where they ask you, okay, do you think that this column of the expenditure for the director was actually for this or not? So, you know, every time you pull out a credit card, it makes you aware that should I be punching it because is this my pulse expense or is that? It's gone to that level of questioning. You know, so when you're handling public money, you have to be very, very clear.
Absolutely, very clear. Thank you very much for that. Mr. Sanghi, again, keeping in mind your diversified portfolio, obviously you would be touching a lot of MSME sectors, kind of product suite you have. How do you see India's ecosystem today versus what it was 10 years ago probably?
Yeah, if we talk before 10 years, there were a lot of challenge. I think the first and foremost was access to the capital. I think it was a challenge. Access to the markets, that is the global markets. How do the small companies go and exhibit in the foreign markets? And I think to address these situations, Indian economy and the Indian government has taken a lot of initiatives like bringing in GST, then doing the startup ecosystem. I think that has made strong. And of course the access to the capital, like my friend told, that access to the SME exchanges, getting listed and getting access to the equity capital. I think this is the three things I have in my mind. And in the current, I think because we are in a banking conference, I will just tell, 10-15 साल पहले अपने को बैंक के पास जाना पड़ता था, उनके ब्रांच मैनेजर, रीजनल मैनेजर, DGM, GM, PM सबको मिलना पड़ता था. But now the time has changed where the bankers come to us and ask for the तो हमको अकाउंट दीजिए और हमको पूछते भी हैं कि आपके कोई दोस्त हो तो हमको अच्छे अकाउंट भी दिलाइए. So I think there is a main shift of the people and the supply chain. I will say you are a part of a supply chain. So that has changed a lot. Digitally, I think there is a lot of change. We were doing handwritten faxes, emails. I think everything is done to digital now, and it has helped a lot. Lot of things like paperless transactions. I'd seen export document of 20-25 pages going to the bank, and now today there is no office boy who has to go to the banks to address this, whether it is export bills or import bills. And thanks to Axis Bank who taught us how to do that, and things are running fine. We are getting payment on time. Sometimes the exchange rate is a problem, but I
think we need to really thank Trump for that. But yes, obviously we always try to give you the best. Just to further ask one question. So we have seen a lot of improvement in the last 10 years. What are the challenges you see today still which exist as far as MSMEs are concerned in terms of scaling up our business?
I think, as my friend told, the human resources is going to be the main challenge. So a lot of initiatives has to be taken, like skilling the people, how to make the people coming out of the colleges and graduates
how do we train and keep them employable in our company. Like there has to be sector training has to be done. I think we have to have a more collaboration with our universities and colleges where we can, our industry people go there and we teach them and we make them ready for our industry. I think a lot of organizations are already doing it. So I think the skilling of the employee, the people has to be there. Along with the digital, lot of digital things are happening. So a lot of frauds are bound to happen, and RBI is always, with thanks to Amitabh Bachchan, also saying that Jankar bani hai, and we have to be very careful about this digital fraud. It is not the frauds that is happening with the villages where the people are not educated. The most educated people also get caught in the frauds because there are different challenges and different ways of doing this fraud. So I think we have to be very careful about these challenges that is going to come in. And of course the competition will be there for the rising industry that is coming in. So we have to find our own ways of competing with them and getting better technology which is in line with the growing economy that we have.
In fact, I know one banker who got cheated. So you're right, it's not just about the layman, even the best professionals get cheated. And these guys are always way ahead than you in terms of
खाना बनाने में 10 साल लगते हैं, खोलने में 10 दिन. ये समझिए, they are much ahead of you.
So, Mr. Sangvi talked about digital adoption. Sir, your views, how do you see technology, digital adoption playing a role in today's business, especially for the MSMEs? And I mean, I think you since your business is since the 60s, from the manual to computer age, then to digital world, now to AI. What are your thoughts around this?
So before coming to technology, I'd like to add what Mr. Sangvi spoke about, especially banking relationships. Like he was saying that earlier we used to go to the banks, now banks are also coming to us. But this is actually next level where also having this kind of a networking dinner with the bank is also something very, very exceptional. So I think he missed to mention that. So, like technology, I would say, like India is a fast developing economy, and we are in the midst of also further growing our economy, and we have targeted to become a developed nation, and that's under the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister. So on that front, I would like to say we have seen how India since independence has, and like you were talking about our business since 1960s. So we have seen this journey of how of late, or over the last few decades, how we have now first taken steps towards digitizing things. Now this also reminds me of last year's Evolve event when there was a deep detailed discussion on where I also personally learned how what is the difference between digitalization and digital transformation. So I will probably use the same to share my views here, that the first step was towards digitizing everything from doing manually to the digital format, and later on adapting digital technologies to further enable digital tools to enable you to do the business. And now is the stage where you need to actually work on digital transformation, so which will develop your business ready for the future actually. Here I'd also take example of what we have been doing in addition to the ERPs which we have implemented in the business. I would like to talk about also again, I'm coming back to the challenges faced by the farmers and the kind of ecosystem we have in India. Huge number of farmers, like a business like ours, we need to deal with a large number of farmers. If I compare a similar business in the Western world, the number of farmers are very limited because of the scale, the large farm sizes they have. Here the farmers are having smaller land holdings. So essentially you need to deal with large number of farmers. You also need to kind of handhold them to best of agricultural practices, economy services you need to provide to them. So what we have done is in all the other aspects of the business, we have implemented many other digital tools, but I'd like to take this opportunity to talk about what we have been doing on the agriculture front. We have also come out now with our mobile app, which we have called Farmoji, where all the farmers everything, all the transactions, whether it is supplying of seed or procurement of the material or the payments, everything is now through this app, which provides a lot of transparency. Now, in addition to this, we have also now implemented several other, there are a lot of technology interventions which we have integrated through this Farmoji app. Which a lot of, and I'll take example of a few devices which are actually AI based. There is one device which is a camera, scanner, which gives you the right quality. I mean, which gives you quickly, which something which would earlier take 20-25 minutes to analyze one sample of a particular potato lot. Now we are able to do that in a few seconds. So, which again improves the overall trust factor with the farmers and so on. And all these new technologies which are being developed within India but also outside of India, with these kind of platforms, we are able to bring those technologies to the small farmer of India as well. So I really believe that technology is very, very important in today's era of businesses. And without technology, it will become difficult to sustain a survive on a business. But with the implementation of right digital tools and also digitally transforming the business aspects, I'm sure this can take the businesses to the next level of growth. Thank you.
I think it's commendable to visualize and come out with something like a Farmoji app that you talked about. I mean, it's commendable because normally you associate farmers with all due respect, low on literacy, low on digital adoption. But if that's the kind of success, that speaks about the kind of knowledge and digital knowledge rather, which has now spread across the length and breadth of the country.
Happy to share, all the farmers have actually enrolled onto this app, and since it is also in local language, so that's where the farmers are, that's what we've been able to do, so that farmers are easily adapting this app.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Pillai, from the point of view of future proofing MSMEs, probably taking forward to what Mr. was saying.
So I would put it this way, I think most of the MSMEs or most of the budding businesses that are growing, I think we are all afraid of technology for probably the biggest reason being the cost. As in the infra space, if you talk about, whenever we talk about digitalization or when we talk about, any of these kind of things, we are normally afraid of the cost. The first thing that's disheartening is the cost. But then what we have experienced in the last about 5-7 years of our own personal experience is that when we implemented our ERP, we could cut down our cost a lot because a lot of pilferages were stopped, a lot of things were, removed from the system. We came up with, buying softwares for costing. We came up with buying softwares for the progress reports. Today, sitting in my office, I monitor almost around 27 projects going on across. We have those beautiful PDZ cameras everywhere put across. You just have to get up in the morning. You just switch it on, and just talk to the people out there, asking them what are you doing. So I think the cost definitely matters. But now what is happening is I think people are not aware of it. That even ERP is available at a cost of rupees 1,500 per month per user. That lower price. There are people in the segment in India who have developed smaller softwares, for the smaller people. And once you get adapted to it, and then you gradually grow, and then you can come back and you can buy a full-fledged ERP, make yourself an ERP. Customize it for yourself. So I think we have to be prepared to accept the technology, because if we are not going to move forward, nothing is stopping you.
For that, I think you summed it up very well. So, Mr. Sanghvi, building on what the two gentlemen said, what suggestion or recommendation you will give to the MSMEs, keeping in mind, there are two thoughts about it, that digitization are the need of the hour. So,
I think the digital transformation starts with the transformation of the mindset of the promoter itself first. कि उनको खुद को सोचना है कि जैसे हमारे कलीग ने बताया कि द कॉस्ट, जैसे वो कोई ERP वाला कोटेशन भेजता है, सेट बोलता है इसको साइड में रखो. So I think it is the first mindset of the people, the owner who is running the company has to change, and I think there is no other option but to get into this mode. The ERP is one of the part of this digitization of the things. So where you do the process engineering and get everything on the systems, the biggest advantage of that is the the transparency you get within the organizations. Everybody knows what is happening in the company, and it gets on the click of the button. The biggest challenge that we saw when we implemented ERP is the skilling of the people. पहले तो लोगों को डर लगता है कि ये आएगा तो मेरी जॉब चली जाएगी, तो उसको पहले सिक्योरिटी देना है कि ऐसा कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. And then it starts making the life easier, and then he feels this is the way to go forward. And people are, we are very lucky that all our employees helped us to implement this ERP, and we got the results that we want. And as he rightly told, that we are at level 1 of the ERP, and now we will try to migrate in the other ways. And then I think the way forward is how do we connect our production process, the machines to the internet, and we get the best of efficiency, because now we are competing with the people who are already ahead of us. And to being a global company, I think we need to get things right, and how do we keep our costs low in the whole operation efficiency.
And I agree with you, and especially that's the important point which Mr. Pillai also covered, that any amount of automation, digitization, whatever the words you may use, ultimately the core of any business is the human resource. And if we are able to keep engage them and keep them within our business, I think that will really mean success for our business. So to you, sir, one of the proudest moments for you has been your export business. You have now been exporting to more than 40 countries. And we saw in the global scenario which Nikhil covered in his presentation that while there are challenges, but there are a lot of opportunities which exist. So what are the opportunities you see for Indian MSMEs, and what will be the advice would you like to give to them?
So I would say India is actually a land of opportunities. If you look at natural resources, or even if you look at the agricultural production, or you look at today's generation, the educated and smart workforce, I would say, and the youngest population which we have in India. So all of this combines together to offer a lot of opportunities for Indian businesses. What I believe, what we need to keep in mind is with the changing, especially with globalization. Since you were mentioning about exports, exports is very important for us to establish as a quality supplier. So quality should be always at the forefront. If you are able to deliver a quality product to global customers, it will ensure, it will enable your penetration into not only one market but so many markets. And going forward, quality will also be playing a big role in India, since we have such a huge population. India is also a huge consumer market for not only the current set of products which we deal into, but also the upcoming product categories, the new age product categories for India. So looking at that, Indian consumer is also now more and more aware. So quality here also will play an important role. So one needs to focus on the right quality of product which one can deliver.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.